I very often notice that for many people, compassion is a gigantic motivator. And of course, that's a great thing in of itself. It's beautiful to want the best for other people, to want to be helpful and to alleviate other people's suffering. Of course, why I'm doing what I'm doing here on this channel is very much driven by this same desire of wanting to bring peace and decrease suffering in the world. But at the same time, it's very easy for this tendency to become some kind of limiting belief and fixation. And very often, if that's the case, we find that the peace we are looking for or we want to create in other people seems to be inaccessible in our own experience. It seems like we are terribly bothered or burdened by the fact that other people are suffering. And again, I'm not trying to say that we should ignore other people's suffering. Of course not. Do whatever you can to be helpful to others. That's great. But if you want to make sure that you are not suffering yourself as a result of this wish to help others, there's something you should fundamentally realize first. The core issue is that very often when we want to help other people, we are working from a wrong assumption. It might be clear in our experience that our own true nature is just this unbounded, centerless, awake openness. But at the same time, when we are interacting with other people, we don't have the sense that they fundamentally are that. So it's clear to us that there is no separate self here in our experience. But yet when we talk and interact with other people, we very much have the sense that there is a separate self there. And of course, that is a fundamental mistake. We are somehow projecting something upon other people, which we have clearly seen in our own experience is just not the case. It's clear to us that there is no separate self. So why do we assume that for other people it's different? If we truly see clearly, if we trace back where our awareness comes from, we just arrive at this ungraspable openness. And of course, if that's true in my experience and your experience, it has to be true in each and every one's experience. And so when we recognize that we are fundamentally whole, that what we are is peace itself, that has to be the case for each being. And this excessive need, this neuroticism to want to save other people, it can fundamentally relax when we realize that. We understand that no matter what we do, each and every one is already saved. They're already whole. They already are true nature itself. There is no other way to be. This is the only being there is. And so this neurotic grasp to become some kind of savior or hero, it just relaxes. Now you might be worried that if that happens, you will become indifferent to other people's suffering, or you might become cold-hearted. But that's just not the case. You will see that when you recognize your true nature, there is an inherent compassion and open-heartedness that arises in your experience. All of a sudden, the wish to be helpful to others just flowers much more naturally. And of course, the functioning of the body-mind also is just so much more smooth and effortless. And as a result, you can be so much more helpful to other people. What you can bring them and the suffering you can take away is just greatly increased. Paradoxically, even though now you don't have this strong need to help or save anyone, you wind up being much more helpful, much more compassionate and open. People can sense that where you are coming from is this unbounded, vast, yet utterly intimate awareness. And because they sense that has a profound effect upon them. You are unburdening them, in a sense, because you are not projecting this illusion of there being a separate entity upon them. And people respond to that positively, you will find. So at the end of the day, if we are truly driven to be compassionate and helpful to others, the most important thing is to first recognize what we are fundamentally and see how that changes our experience. And you will find that at the end of the day, this is going to work out much better.